Learning is all around us, throughout the curriculum and beyond. We can learn mental skills, develop our attitudes, and even acquire new physical skills as we partake in activities throughout our daily lives. Thus, the process of learning is astounding. The growth and change in the brain's makeup. I mean, on how we take in information, process it, connect it, collect it, and utilize it in endless ways. In this video class, you will distinguish the domains of learning, and you will also be introduced to the different types of learning. Specifically, you are all expected to distinguish the 6 levels of knowledge under the cognitive domain, discuss the psychomotor categories in the psychomotor domain, and discuss the 6 level of learning objectives in the affective domain arranged hierarchically. So keep on watching if you want to learn more. This is Miss Riza May Arguera, your professor. As I mentioned a while back, we will be dealing on the domains of learning in today's discussion. So the domains of learning can be categorized into 3. Take note that this categorization is based from the taxonomy of learning domains, which was formulated by a group of researchers led by Benjamin Bloom in 1956. Benjamin Bloom class is an American educational psychologist who made contributions to the classification of educational objectives and to the theory of mastery of learning. Benjamin Bloom, in addition, is one of the greatest minds to influence the field of education. He was born on February 21, 1913 in Lansford, Pennsylvania, and as a young man, he was already an avid reader and curious researcher. He was also known and most recognized because of his highly regarded initial work, which is known as Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. Additional information about Bloom class is that while Bloom was involved in describing both the cognitive and the affective domains, he appeared as the first author on the cognitive domain. As a result, this bore his name for years and was commonly known among educators as Bloom's taxonomy, even though his colleague David Crathwall was a partner on the 1956 publication. Okay, so here are the identified 3 domains of educational activities. Cognitive, which refers to the mental skills. Affective, which refers to growth and feeling or emotion. Psychomotor, which refers to manual or physical skills. So these key terms, class, were actually simplified by educators and it was translated to knowledge, attitudes, and skills. But before that, let us have first a quick review on what is Bloom's taxonomy. When we talk about Bloom's taxonomy, this refers to a set of 3 hierarchical models used to classify educational learning objectives into levels of complexity and specificity. Okay, Bloom's taxonomy class, or this taxonomy in 1946 by Bloom. Okay, so it was created in 1946. Then the revised version from 2001 serves as the backbone of many teaching philosophies, specifically to those that aim towards teaching, in particular to skills. So each level in the Bloom's taxonomy comes with clear learning objectives which can be tested. Okay, so the 3 lists which I am mentioning cover the aforementioned domains such as the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Okay, so That's Bloom's taxonomy. Now class, for you to easily recall the domains and its categories, I have here a table. So I prepared here a table. Okay. The cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So, cognitive domain class is categorized into 6 categories or level. The KKASE, knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Same is true with affective domain. It is also categorized into 5 levels, which include the RR-VOC, receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, and characterizing. Lastly, we have the psychomotor domain, which is categorized into 8 levels, which include the PSG M-CROW, perception, set, guided response, mechanism, complex overt response, adaptation, and origination. Originally class, cognitive domain comprises KKASE. Okay. However, in the mid-90s, Lauren Anderson, who was a former student of Bloom, further reviewed the cognitive domain and finally made some changes. So as you can see in your screen, okay, it has been projected there that KKASE was formulated in 1956, and in 2001, Anderson revised it. So from noun form, it turned into verb form. So these are the most prominent changes made by Anderson class. Firstly, a change of names in the 6 subdivisions from noun to verb, as I mentioned a while back. Secondly, rearranging the order of the last two levels, as you can see there in the highest level, two highest levels, which include the evaluation and synthesis. Okay, so it has been rearranged. So in 1956, the highest level is evaluation, but in 2001, it became the 5th level. And in 1956, the 5th level is synthesis, and it was rearranged and it was placed to the highest level, which is create. Okay, so this is the change made by Anderson. So from KKASE, knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, it turned out into remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Okay, so aside from this class, Anderson, together with Krathwohl, have also identified 4 categories of knowledge. Okay, so here are the 4 categories of knowledge. First one is the factual knowledge. Okay, so when we talk of factual knowledge class, this refers to essential facts, terminology, details, or elements students must know in order to understand a discipline. Okay, so as the name implies, this refers to facts, and that's it. Okay, next one is conceptual knowledge. Conceptual knowledge refers to the interrelationship of facts. Okay, class, so it is facts put together within a larger structure that enable them to function together. Basically, it is knowledge of classifications, principles, generalizations, theories, models, or structures pertinent to a particular disciplinary area. Third category is the procedural knowledge. Procedural knowledge class refers to information or knowledge that helps students to do something specific to a discipline, subject, or area of study. So, this is knowing how to do something. It includes knowledge of methods of inquiry, criteria for using skills, algorithms, techniques, and methods. Last category class is the metacognitive knowledge. Okay, so this is reflective knowledge about how to solve problem and cognitive tasks. This is actually knowing that you know. This is thinking about your own thinking in a purposeful way. It is awareness and knowledge of one's own cognition. And aside from that, it includes contextual and conditional knowledge and knowledge of self. Okay, so those are the 4 categories of knowledge. Again, these are factual, conceptual, procedural, and metacognitive knowledge. Okay. So let us continue our discussion on Chapter 3. Now let us study each of the domains of learning. So starting from the most popular version, which is based on the cognitive domain, and it is structured from easy to difficult levels. By the way, class, when we talk of cognitive domain, this domain contains learning skills predominantly related to mental or thinking processes. So as I mentioned from the part 1 of our discussion in Chapter 3, I mentioned that there are 6 levels under this domain. So these 6 levels or categories which I've been mentioning, okay, are the following in your screen. You have remembering, analyzing, applying, understanding, evaluating, and creating. Okay, so let's deal first with the first category or the first level class, okay, which is remembering. So in this category, we learn to remember or recall the previously learned information. So if you can still recall our past discussion, I mentioned already rote learning. Okay. Rote learning in this level is applied class. It is purely memorization and recollection without much understanding. I'll repeat, it is purely memorization and recollection without much understanding. So, I projected there, or I included in this slide the following outcomes verbs which are commonly used under this level or category. To further understand, okay, may I give you an example? For example, is that when we are learning about the lemon, okay, lemon is a fruit. We may want to remember its name or size or generally its features. Basically, if we memorize these facts about the lemon, okay, it is actually remembering. Okay, I hope you get the point. Next level class is the understanding level. In this level, we decode the information. We comprehend the meaning, translation, and interpretation of instructions. So again, I included in this slide the most commonly used outcomes verbs to be utilized. So in this level, going back to our example on lemon, okay, we begin to understand that the color of lemon class is yellow when it is ripe. Okay, that when we bite it, it tastes sour. Okay, we also further understand that it loves sunlight and that they also contain vitamin C, which is a great natural antioxidant that keeps us healthy. Okay, so that's understanding. Next level class is the third level, which is focused on applying. So as the term implies, we then apply what we know. Okay, so we use what was learned in the class in similar new situations. So outcomes verbs include, okay, all of those: apply, change, compute, and so on. Okay, so in our example on lemons, after understanding that lemons are provider of vitamin C, then we can apply this new accumulated learning in a meaningful way. So in what way? Okay, like boiling the lemon with an addition of honey to be served to our sick sibling as a treatment. So in that way, the new accumulated information, okay, can be applied, okay, in new situations. I hope you are getting the idea. Okay. Next one class is the fourth level. The fourth level is analyzing. This level involves examining and breaking down of information into component parts to understand the whole. Okay, so I also included there the most commonly used outcomes verbs under this category or level. And if we go back to our example of lemon, okay, if we study the lemon, like looking at the level of vitamins, examine its skin, we can conclude that we can eat everything inside while the skin tastes bitter, which cannot be consumed. So in that process, there is already analysis. Okay? Next one class is evaluating. So in this level, we analyze, compare, critique, and judge the value of an idea, object, or material. So most common outcomes verbs to be utilized in this category are the following. So, yan. And if we go back to our lemon example, okay, to evaluate class now that lemon, okay, is a good source of vitamins, we now compare it to other sources. What other sources? So I'm referring to, for example, oranges. We compare lemon to oranges. We compare lemon to supplement. Okay? Then we look at its properties like vitamin levels, tastes, and other properties. Then if we evaluate critically without bias, then we learn that lemons go high while others go higher. Okay? So after all the 5 levels class, we are now down to creating level. Creating level class is a level when we build a structure or pattern. So outcomes verbs under this category or level include the following in your screen. Okay. So, relating again to lemon example. Now that we fully understand lemons and how it differs to other things, we can now formulate our own plan of making lemonade. Okay. So we now establish a plan in making lemonade, and if we are able to create lemonade out of lemon, that is already creating. Okay, I hope you understood it. Okay, so those are the 6 levels under the cognitive domain. Now, class, we proceed to the affective domain. So when we talk about the affective domain class, this includes the manner in which we deal with things emotionally, okay, such as feelings, values, appreciation, enthusiasms, motivations, and attitudes. So this domain is concerned merely with learners' feelings. Okay, so learning in this domain is challenging to assess formally, but central in engaging them fully. Okay, so under this domain class, we have 5 levels. So let us start with the receiving level or receiving category. Receiving class is being aware or sensitive to something and being willing to listen or pay attention. Again, the following are the outcomes verbs to be used. Second level class is responding. Okay, by the term itself, respond. Okay, it is showing commitment to respond in some measure to the idea or phenomena. So here are the outcomes verbs. Next one is valuing. Valuing class is showing willingness to be perceived as valuing or favoring certain ideas. Okay. Outcomes verbs include complete, demonstrate, and so on. Okay. Next one class is organizing. Organizing class is arranging values into priorities, creating a unique value system by comparing, relating, and synthesizing values. Okay, so outcomes verbs under this category or level include the following. Lastly, under the affective domain class is internalizing. Okay? Internalize. Okay? In internalizing, this category means practicing value system that controls one's behavior. It is exhibiting behavior that is consistent, pervasive, predictable, and characteristics of the person. In some source class, internalizing is equated to characterization. Okay? So, most outcomes verbs under this category or level include the following. Okay, so after understanding the cognitive domain and affective domain, now we are down to the last domain, which is psychomotor domain. Psychomotor domain class encompasses the physical aspects of learning. Physical aspects meaning it covers movement and reflexes, utilizing motor skills, and coordinating them. Under this domain class, we have also different categories or levels. Okay. First one is perception. Perception is awareness. Okay? This is the ability to use sensory cues to guide motor activity. This ranges from sensory stimulation through cue selection to translation. So, most outcomes verbs includes the following: chooses, describes, detects, differentiates, distinguishes, identifies, isolates, relates, and selects. Next one class is set. Okay? This is sometimes called as mindset. Take note of that. Okay? Set means your readiness to act. It includes mental, physical, and emotional sets. So these three sets are dispositions to predetermine a person's response to different situations class. Okay? So I also included there the different keywords under this category or level. Next one is guided response. Guided response is the early stages in learning a complex skill that includes imitation and trial and error. So adequacy of performance is achieved by practicing. Okay? Keywords are included also under this category or level. Next one class is mechanism. So mechanism class is basically the basic proficiency. So this is the intermediate stage in learning complex skill. So learned responses have become habitual and the movements can be performed with some confidence and proficiency. Okay? Keywords include the following. Okay, assembles, calibrates, and so on. Okay. Next one class is complex overt response. So complex overt response class is expert. Okay. This is the skillful performance of motor acts that involve complex movement patterns. So proficiency is indicated by a quick, accurate, and highly coordinated performance requiring a minimum of energy. So this category includes performing without hesitation and automatic performance. For example, class, players often utter sounds of satisfaction or expletives as soon as they hit a tennis ball or throw a football because they can tell by the feel of the act what the result will produce. So that's expert. Okay, I also included here the outcomes verbs or keywords under this category. Next one is on adaptation. Adaptation or skills are well developed and the individual can modify movement patterns to fit a special requirement. So under this level, we have keywords. See the following. Okay, so we are now down to the last category or level under the psychomotor skills, which is origination. When we talk about origination class, this is creating new movement patterns to fit a particular situation or a specific problem. So learning outcomes emphasize creativity based upon highly developed skills. That's why. So we need origination. Okay, so in origination class, we have the different keywords, okay, or the outcomes verbs, which include arranges, builds, combines, composes, constructs, creates, designs, initiates, makes, originates. Okay, so those are, okay, the different levels under the psychomotor skills. So that ends, okay, our discussion on the domains of learning. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Okay, I hope that you have learned something today. Have you learned something today?